everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Game Art Talk podcast. Antonio Bravo is my guest today. He is the environment artist for Leartes Studio. Hello, Antonio.
Hello, hi.
So, you're currently living in Madrid, right?
Yeah.
You're working for Leartes. So, give us like a short introduction of yourself. How old are you? What are you currently doing?
Okay. I have 26 years old, and I was working with Leartes for like 7 months or something like that. And actually, I currently working as a teacher in two schools here in Madrid, and I will start with a different work in Valencia as an environment artist in Elite
Hmm.
3D. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
And I will start to work there in the next week. So fine.
Oh,
And I will,
oh, these are good news. Good
yeah,
news. Good to
yeah,
hear.
really good news for me. It's a good opportunity. So I'm really happy.
I know some people working there. David Ferreira was on my podcast. He was my
Uh-huh.
first guest. Maybe you have heard about him. He's a character artist at Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so
and
how long have you been in the games industry? So
sorry.
when did this all start? How long have you been into the games industry? So
Oof, I start to study this part like 9 years ago, and I start to work in the second year in the university. So I think like 6 7 years, something like that. I was working
okay.
in different companies, in different projects. I did some games for Sony, for PlayStation, and I work in actually AAA.
Hmm.
And and now I'm working as a teacher, but I'm working as freelance too. So I'm continuing this industry. So
So as you have been a freelancer now, you are going into an in-studio job, like
yeah.
away from freelancing. Was there a reason why you did that?
I think I will be working in both parts. I will be working as freelance with
Hmm.
Leartes mainly, and I will be working as environment artist in this company.
Okay.
I really like to work as environment artist in Elite because I think I can learn a lot of things there. They are
Yeah.
working with a lot of big games and a lot of big companies, so it's a really nice opportunity for me. And with the artists I'm working in which I like, so I really want to work with them too.
Yeah, and also I think you're always more flexible, right? You can,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can also bring the experience you get in house into yeah, into the freelancing side.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, let's speak about something. You worked on the artists. So you did work on the Nordic Village
Yeah.
package, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Um, there are lots of modular assets in it. So how do you approach creating something modular, which is very important for an environment artist?
Well, it's hard to explain, but
Hmm.
mainly the most difficult part of the part of this kind of modeling is the scale of everything and the measures of every piece, because every piece have to fit with every other piece. So it's really difficult to fit everything with everything.
Yeah.
So you have to try to create a big block out of every piece, every model that you think that you have to create. For example, if you are working on a building or something like that, you have to think about which will be the entrance, which will be the roof, all the walls, all the kind of different windows that you will have in this building, and try to fit them in a scale, for example, the 1 meter by 1 meter or something like that, and fit everything in this scale and work in the details of this piece. If anything don't fit in the model, all the building will be bad. So it's really hard to fit everything.
So what is the main key for modular assets? I think these are the measurements, right? So
Yeah,
the
the block out, I
everything needs
think,
to
is
work.
the main thing, because if you did a nice block out, if you do a
Hmm.
nice blocking of a building, of or whatever, you will do a nice building or a nice house or whatever you are doing. But you have to that is the key. You have to fit everything, and you have to create a blockout with modules only, with any kind of details. You don't have to create windows, you don't have to create any details. You only want to create these modules and fit one with them. So this is the key of everything in modular pieces.
So what are the main problems when creating something modular? You know.
Well, a lot of problems. For example, when you are doing this blockout, finally you finish the blocking, and then you have to start to detail something. For example, you are doing a corner, or you are doing a entrance or a window or something like that, and you have to put by one, one side to side, and try to fit them. So if you try to put one to the other and they don't fit, you have to go back again and work
Hmm.
again on each module to try to fit them. So the biggest problem is the measures, all the scales of the building. This is the big problem of modular assets. The textures, the shaders, everything is more easier, because if you have tile level textures, it will be easier. But if you have something like a lot of details, try to fit all of them will be really really hard.
So you would say that like a good solid block out with the right measurements is the
That's it.
key to success
Yeah,
when it comes to
that is the
modular assets.
that's the key. For I think that's the key is the blocking. If you have a solid blocking, if you have woodwork in this part, the modular building will be really really easier.
So what were other responsibilities on the Viking village environment set?
I was working in so different parts. I was working all the landscape, all the space of the with the lake and with the trees and everything. I was working in some of the shaders, in every shader, like snow, grass, mud, everything. The shader of the lake, of the water, uh, the first lighting of the landscape, and all the foliage, the trees, grass, the bushes, everything.
So why did or what is your main thing when it comes to foliage? Because I'm a hard surface artist, so this is like the really the opposite of my
Yeah,
of my field.
it's organic feeling.
Um, yeah, why or what did you um like how do you approach foliage? Do you say like I have four different trees, I have four different leaves, and then I place them all in my environment, or how do you handle this?
Uh, at the first part of a creative foliage, for example, the hardest part of foliage, I think that is a tree. Something like grass is easier, because you only have to do a nice texture, try to have a nice quality, and with that you will have a nice grass. You have to try to optimize it as much as you can. Try to have a lot of space covering the opacity map. But with this you will have a nice grass. But for example, in a tree is different, because you have to try to take all the normal map, the roughness, every texture map in in the tree, but you don't have any leaf, no, or you don't have branches, you don't have anything. So you have two kinds of work. You can try to sculpt for yourself the leaves, the branches, everything, the tie level texture of the bark or everything, or you can try to take pictures or something like that from internet or from your place, and try to take a normal map and a roughness and the map, using Photoshop or Bitmap to material or something like that for create it. Before After that, you have to try to take all these foliage, all these leaves, for example, with two or three branches, and try to create a branch with some leaves. And this branch with some leaves is be the branch that you will use in the tree, because if you create a tree with a lot of leaves, you will have like, I don't know, 20,000 of geometry or something like that. More is possible. But if
Mm-hmm.
you try to take a branch with a lot of leaves, and you only do a plane with this branch, it will be more optimized. But it's hardest for try to create the shape of the tree. So there are
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
things to try to create it.
Oh, what is so hard about trees?
Mm,
Tell me something about it, because for me, a tree is a tree.
yeah, because you have to try to create it in a natural shape. Everything in organic shapes or in natural shapes. You see a tree, or you see a rock or stone, something like that. You only see a rock, but if you try to sculpt a rock, for example, it's really really hard to do it. To take a realistic rock is really really hard. With trees, with grass, with bushes, with everything that is organic, is the same, because you are so used to see it. So if you see something like is weird, strange, is for you is really really a big mistake. So
Hmm.
you have to try to take a really really nice shape in the tree, and this is the biggest problem. You have to do a organic shape only with planes and only with alphas, and it's hard because you have to take a lot of references. You have to take to start to work on your tree, for example, and leave the tree by 2 years and 2 days or 1 day or something like that, and come again and see it and say this is not working, and repeat it. And it's like that. It's really really hard to take and have a organic shape in a tree. This is the hardest part. If you are working usually in hard surface, for example, the hard surface is like this is the desk and is handmade. It's by making by humans, so it's easier to do it because it's handmade. But if you see something organic, you know that it's not real if you see it, but you don't know why. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So you would say, like, you really don't know what feels unnatural
Yeah,
when you look at something, but there is something that bugs you,
that's
like
it.
that
That's it.
that comes to your eye.
That's it. This is the problem that the character artists, for example, they have in the characters that they did, because it's the same. If you see a character that is not real, you say it's not real. I don't know why, but it's not real. It's the same.
Yeah, I think you need to study the laws of
Yeah,
nature. Like, this is a pretty interesting topic. Like, have you heard about the Fibonacci
that's
stuff? Like, 2, 3, 5, 8, and etc.
yeah, that
Um,
yeah,
that is always coming up in the nature,
yeah.
um, and it appears appealing to the eye.
And you
So,
have a lot of references. You have to go a lot of times to the forest to see trees or see the nature and try to study the shapes. Everything is really hard because you have to have all this information in your eye, in your brain, and see it and say, okay, this is not working. I have to change something. But you know it because you have it in your information, in your references.
yeah.
This is the biggest problem in trees, in organic shapes, in everything that is organic is the biggest problem.
So you have already or also worked on the landscapes in Unreal. I
Yes.
think you said that you made the first approach for the Viking village.
Yeah.
How do you tackle landscapes, or do you tackle them only in Unreal, or do you take other software like I think there's World Builder or something?
Yeah,
Um,
I usually use two programs, or War Machine
mhm.
or War Creator. I don't know if you know it. Do you know
Yeah,
them?
I heard about it. I never worked with it, but I heard about
Okay.
it.
They are easy to use it because they have a lot of things to try to create the landscape that you want. But the biggest problem is again the same problem as the trees. You have to create a landscape. Okay, that's fine. You create a basic shape in this program and you import it to Unreal. Okay, well, fine. But when you import it, you have to see the mountains, the peaks, the rocks, the shape of this place, and see it as natural. And that's the hardest part. I usually working using, for example, I start in Word Machine or Word Creator. I take a height map from there and I import it to ZBrush, for example. In ZBrush, I was working adding some details, working in some shapes, for example, because when you export something from Word Creator or from Word Machine or something like that, you export only a height map. You don't have caves or you don't have any place that is a little bit far from a height map. For example,
Hmm.
you can make something like a cave, for example. And you have to work it in ZBrush a little bit for take a normal map and take a little bit of detail there. And after that, you have to import it again in Unreal as a height map, but you take a normal map from ZBrush, for example. And I use it for take a little bit of detail in the farthest way of these mountains. Because if you see the normal map is for example, you have a 2K normal map, really small. So if you see it nearest to the character is too small. You have a lot of pixels in the landscape. But if you see it in the farthest way, you see the all the details of the normal, and you have to blend that with the materials that you are creating in the shader. For example, you are working in a landscape shader with stone, snow. In this case, for example, is with snow, mud, grass, stone, and pavement. I can remember. I think there are five materials in the landscape. If you
Okay.
have to create this snow and these stones and this grass, you will take the normal of the landscape from this material,
Hmm.
but not from the landscape normal map. But in the farthest way, you have to take the normal map from the zebras and not from your materials, because if you take the normal map from the materials, it will be really it will tiling a lot. You will see all the tiling
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
so you have to blend everything with this normal map of the landscape, farthest normal map, and the nearest normal map is really hard because you have to blend everything a lot of times and try to take and doing a lot of masking in the shader for try to take all these materials. For example, if you are doing a snow, all the landscape is not snow. You have to put grass or stone in the highest peaks of the mountains, for example, and you have to blend it that again, and you can't paint everything by hand because you will die. There are a lot of time spending in that part. So you have to try to do that. Blending automatically based in the highest peaks and in the lowest peaks in the mountain, and trying to blending everything with the normal map that you take in ZBrush.
So you are taking, you're creating a material that is like taking the normal map from ZBrush
Yeah,
and applying different materials
that's it.
regarding on the, yeah, the heights or the peaks or the
Yeah.
lows, and So
It's a
like,
really really big material. It's like I have six materials in seven materials in the main material of landscape. I have the snow, the stone, the grass, the mud, the pavement, the automatically blending of each material because that's it another material, and then I have the normal map and the base color and the height of the main landscape. So you have a lot of materials there, and you have to blend it everything.
okay, so you're not vertex painting or something. You're
You
all,
can vertex paint in the landscape, but you have the opportunity to do it to don't do it. You have the everything blended by automatically, but you can paint it too.
but it would take like lots of time painting it by hand. So
Yeah,
you're gonna
that's it.
let the normal or the ambient occlusion doing the work.
That's it. For example, you can try to do all the landscape automatically, but only the place where you will create your village, for example, paint some parts, for example.
Okay. You also said that you did the first lighting pass on the Viking village.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Are you also interested in lighting, like, or does this come in hand with being an environment artist?
Mm, I'm interested in lighting. I would like to become a lighting artist. I don't know, but I'm interested in lighting because I think it's uh, a pretty way to learn more on, because I love the colors of the, for example, you are in this landscape. I was working in a sunset, for example, and the colors of the sun and the fog and everything. I love it. I like a lot to work in this part, but
Hmm.
I don't know if I know everything that I need to know for working in this part. There are a lot of technical things that the lighting artists know, but I only know the artistic part of the lighting.
So, how did you go on lighting the environment? So, what is your main approach? I will have the real lighting artist on the project
Mhm.
on my next podcast, but I will hear your story now. How did you approach the first lighting shot
Well,
for the environment?
I started working in the light in the blogging. I think that is important because, for example, I was showing a video, a podcast of from Tim Simpson. You know who is?
Yeah, I had him on my podcast as well.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, pues I see a video from Tim Simpson. And he was talking about to work in the light in the blocking of the environment that you are working, to work in the
Hmm.
light too, because it's important to take the general shape, the general colors of the environment. So I think it's a really really nice part, and I try to apply it to my environments. So in this case, in this environment, when I was working in the blockout of the landscape, I was working too in the light. I create a fog, direction light, and some spotlights in some parts for take a little bit of details on the light in some trees or something like that, or in the lake, for example. And I try to optimize it as much as I can, doing line maps and doing some static lights for try to make it in the landscape and not everything in real time because that's so expensive.
Hmm.
And working in this part, I was creating some colors, for example, some orange or something like that for the landscape. But the final part is with a little bit of post production in Unreal, and I take it and I change a little bit the colors because when you import all the trees, all the materials, everything, the lake, everything, and you put the camera for take some shots, you have to try to change something to adjust everything for take a nice course, and that's it. And it's not too much. I changed some colors of the directional of the fog. I try to apply volumetric fog for take a little bit some of the rays of the sun, and that's it. That's not too much. Working a little bit of the post production, working a little bit of sharpen, uh, some color changes in everything, and that's it. All the working in the light.
Okay, so you would say more is less, or less is more in this kind of case when it comes to lighting, because often you kind of oversaturated with lights.
Yeah, I think that less is more in this case. In light, for my experience, is usually when you see an environment from a beginner, you usually
Hmm.
see a lot of lights and point lights and spotlights and three directionals and
Yeah,
five
it
kind of
feels too
fogs or
much.
something like that, for
Hmm.
example. And I think that you can achieve something more realistic and something better if you are working only with two, three, four lights, for example. You do need to point the attention of the viewer, for example, in some part. Okay, you can use a point light there or a little spotlight, something like that. But the main light, I don't think that you need a lot of lights. For example, in this case, in this package, was when I was working the light, I have two lights, I think, only a directional light and a spotlight in a tree because I want to take a little bit of a little bit of importance in this tree, but that's it. Only two lights and a spotlight and the direction and the fog uh, and the skylight. That's it. The skylight too because you have
There needs to be a light from the sky, right?
yeah, that's it, to feel all the landscape. But the main lights, the directional, the skylight, with those two lights, you have everything.
Hmm. Okay. So I think it's better to nail those two lights than to have lots of lights
Yeah,
who are not really yeah, making any sense.
yeah, that's it. For example, if you are doing lighting, I usually working as taking the biggest part first and then the smallest part. For example, a lot of people try to start working doing, for example, I don't know. The detail of the bright of the teeth of a character, for example, and try to put a point light in the teeth of the face of the character, for example. You don't have to do that. You have to do the general light, and then finally, if you are not happy with this light, okay, you can try to add some of them. Try to add some point lights, but the general light you have to do it with as less lights as possible.
Yeah, I think it's the same when it comes to rendering. Like when rendering my guns or my props, I try to keep the lights as low as possible,
Yeah,
because when having 20 lights,
it's too
you really
crazy.
don't know. Yeah, you really don't know what each light is doing and how it affects the image.
Yeah.
And so I always try to keep it like with some rim lights and then some skylights, and then I call it done. And I need to really knock this out, and so they make any sense.
Hmm. That's it. I think the same. I think that the beginners only start with a lot of lights, like 20 or 30 lights, and it's really, really
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Because often when you see, as you said, when you see like beginner environments, they really try hard to get like some sort of cinematic,
Yeah,
dramatic feeling with some fog, some post production, and yeah,
yeah,
and it really doesn't yeah, it feels unnatural again, as we
yeah.
already said before.
It's the same. You have to try to achieve this ambient, this light with as less lights as you can. You don't have to start placing torches, for example. You have to start placing the main light, is the sun, for example. In this case, if you only have torches in your environment, okay, you can place some torch, but
Yeah.
you have only put a lot of lights like the torches and the door and the light of this gun and the this is too crazy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So let's get back to the outsourcing with now Elite and Leartes.
Mhm.
So how do you see the role of outsourcing in the games industry nowadays, and how it could develop in the future?
I think that that's a good part of the industry because if you see in every company when they create a video game, for example, you see Call of Duty or something like that. The people that is working in this company in EA, for example, in Santa Monica, for example, in there are like I don't know 30, 40, 300 people or something like that, but the biggest part of the production of the production, not the post production or the pre-production, the production there are the biggest part is outsourcing. So I think that is a really really important part of a production of every video game in this case, for example. But well, now with this situation that we have with the quarantine and everything, I think that it's bigger because every one of us is working from home, or a little part of the people is working in the company in the place, but with a lot of people working in their homes, I think the outsourcing is really really biggest than before.
Yeah, and it also helps that the games industry is um yeah, keep on producing games. Like
Yeah.
it supports the games industry.
Hmm. That's it.
Okay, Antonio, I think that's it for now. Is there anything else you wanna speak out?
No, I'm fine.
So you are starting in studio or are starting from home with the new company
I will start in home at the moment.
at home?
I will
So
go to Valencia as soon as I can, but I will start at home.
are you more of a studio person, or are you enjoying working from home?
Both, I think, because I like to work at home. It's fine for me, but I think that you can learn a lot of you can learn more in the company in the place.
Like in the studio life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you are with your partners and you can talk with them and show the things. I think it's better.
This is nice. So, thank you so much, Antonio.
Thank you
I
to
will
you.
put all your stuff in the info box, and people should check you out because you have really really dope stuff on your portfolio. Especially, I saw the statue on the Leartes portfolio,
Yeah,
which looks pretty cool.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you to you.
and have a nice day. Have a nice evening.
Have a nice day.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.